Good morning, Stoveminders. We're 3 days out from the 2021 MLB trade deadline. This Friday, things are heating up. Stove's hot. Scalding hot, in fact. But I want to take it back for a second. Because if you asked me a month ago which teams I'd be watching at this year's trade deadline, I'd give you 3 teams. Number 1, the Chicago Cubs, of course. Of course the Cubs. They're my team, yeah. But the caliber of players on expiring contracts, plus a couple of very strong bullpen arms, make the Cubs potentially the biggest seller of the summer. They got our hopes up with the June run that fell apart in timely fashion. I'm kind of happy for that, actually. And now the Cubs are 50-51. Yes, below 500 and 4th place in the NL Central. They're already selling, but just how far they will go, we'll have to see. The other 2 teams I'd be watching are buyers, and they're very interesting ball clubs from a front office transactional roster building perspective. The Tampa Bay Rays and the San Diego Padres, and the executives commanding these ships, San Diego's A.J. Preller and Tampa Bay's Erik Neander, are balls to the wall madmen. The Padres and Rays are 2 organizations with strong foundations in scouting and development. They wouldn't be where they are here on just trades alone. But for a couple of mid to small market franchises without a World Series to speak of, the frequency and impact of the trades Preller and Neander have made over the several years is staggering, and it's a big reason why Tampa Bay and San Diego are where they are today, and that is in a playoff spot with a pretty good chance of playing October baseball. The Rays are 60-40, second place in the AL East, a very strong division, but just 1.5 games behind the Boston Red Sox, and they have a 5.5 game lead at the moment over the 3rd wildcard team, the Seattle Mariners, themselves a game behind the Oakland Athletics. What are the Mariners doing? But that's the Rays. What about the Padres? 58-44. They're a good team. 3rd place in a very strong NL West. 5.5 games out of the division lead. San Francisco Giants on top there, still within reach, and with a 6-game lead over the wild card. Padres are 6 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds. Both teams are secure. But you always got to be thinking, how can I get better? And these 2 teams are always trying to get better. Sometimes they'll even trade between themselves. Like 2 winters ago, 2019-20. Tampa Bay and San Diego swapped Manuel Margot, outfielder who went to the Rays, still there today, and the Padres got reliever Emilio Pagan, a couple of pretty good pieces. In the same winter, they swapped starting outfielders in Tommy Pham to the Padres and Hunter Renfroe to the Rays. He's now on the Red Sox. But arguably the best piece in that trade was Jake Cronenworth, an afterthought in the deal, a late bloomer utility man who's become an all-star for the Padres. And then this past winter, they pulled off a pretty big deal with left-handed starting pitcher and Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, betrayed by the Rays in the World Series and then shipped out of town and out west for 4 players, 2 minor leaguers, and 2 big league-ready prospects. Half a season into this trade, so it's still pretty fresh. Out of all the guys dealt there, it's the much-traded catcher Francisco Mejia. What an unsettled career he's had. Mejia, who is backup catcher, technically has statistically had the best 2021 campaign. Snell has really struggled in his new home in San Diego. Now, if that was the only pitcher acquired by the Padres and Preller in the past year, that would suck. Add in Mike Clevinger from the 2020 Corona trade deadline when only a few teams made moves in a 60-game season. Preller would not be held back. He managed to get a high-end arm, but sadly for San Diego, Clevinger has only made 4 starts since then and none in 2021. However, a credit to his own hubris, Preller won the 2020-21 offseason by defrauding, some would say, the Chicago Cubs for all-world starter Yu Darvish and a quality all-around catcher in Victor Caratini in exchange for Zach Davies, who sucks this year, and 4 very raw, inexperienced prospects. San Diego further added right-handed pitcher Joe Musgrove via trade from Pittsburgh last winter, and he's having a career year pitching for his hometown team. Musgrove even threw the first no-hitter in Padres history, caught by Victor Caratini. How about that? A.J. Preller's Padres are aggressive. They're tenacious. They're always in the market to buy, with regular effort to get the best players available. Like the Tampa Bay Devil Rays of Erik Neander, who's been in charge since 2016-17. Preller's a little more tenured. He's been around since 2014-15. The Padres aren't afraid to trade away good players if the timing and roster allow for it or requires it. So the Rays might seem like sellers given the players they've traded to the Pacific, like Pagan and Cronenworth and Pham, and the surprise move of starting shortstop Willy Adames to the Milwaukee Brewers earlier this year. But take a look at the Rays' everyday roster, and there's a bunch of guys Neander has acquired via trade. Tyler Glasnow, they're far and away their best starting pitcher and ace before he got hurt this year. Joey Wendell, all-star third baseman. Randy Arozarena, playoff hero and outfielder. Austin Meadows, big hitter. Yandy Diaz, he can play all around. Mike Zunino, their top catcher. And Mejia and Margot, who I mentioned earlier. And if you're wondering about Tampa Bay's Swiss Army battleship of a bullpen, a collection of hidden gems who the Rays under Neander have compiled into an innovative and very effective pitching staff. Those guys have come from all over, but some through trade, like Ryan Yarbrough, one of only a very few Rays starters, came from the Mariners in a trade for Drew Smyly, and reliever Pete Fairbanks, who was acquired for Nick Solak, now the everyday second baseman for the Texas Rangers. And so nobody should be surprised that the Padres and Rays took the trade deadline, moved it up a couple weeks, and made some big moves. I'm talking a couple of the best bats on the market this summer are now gone, and they're playing in these two cities, Tampa Bay and San Diego. Let's start in Tampa. Rays made a big splash here. Big bat, big body, Nelson Cruz, coming to Tampa from the Minnesota Twins, along with minor league righty Calvin Faucher, in exchange for right-handed pitchers Joe Ryan and Drew Strotman going to the Twins. The arms Minnesota gets are ranked 10th and 17th in the Rays farm system, so not a bad, but for a guy like Nelson who provides such good at-bats, I understand Cruz is something of an anomaly, a 17-year veteran whose broomstick is still booming at the age of 41. Cruz was batting .294 for the Twins this season, .370 on-base percentage, and of course a .537 slugging. Just an all-around excellent batsman. I love this move for a bunch of reasons. Number one, Cruz's ring hunting. Okay, he's old. Get him a championship. Two, he's on a 1-year deal and the Twins blow, so if anybody was going to get traded out of Minnesota, but he might as well move Cruz. And finally, the Rays' offense has not been very productive. At the time of this trade, they were 16th in the majors in on-base plus slugging, and in the bottom 5 in OPS versus left-handed pitching. Well, Nelson's walks and dingers plus versus lefties is over 1,000. And since coming to the Rays, he's only played in 3 games, but he's already hit 2 home runs. So, you know what you're going to get. But what I don't know is how this is all going to work roster-wise, because Cruz is going to play designated hitter. That's going to force Austin Meadows out and into the outfield, where for now Meadows has the right field spot since Margot is on the IL. But as usual, the Rays are in a logjam. Are they going to get out of it? Can they find a way to unload Kevin Kiermaier's contract, losing a glove for center fielder, but having a better batting order? Or will someone else get flipped? Well, a Rays starter has already been jettisoned for not throwing good baseballs. Left-hander Rich Hill, gone to the New York Mets. The man sometimes called Dick Mountain fell off a cliff in mid-June. And meanwhile, the Mets rotation has been rotating on the IL this year. Rays can work around one less arm. They can go out there with 0 starters and somehow win games. I mean, October baseball's a different story, but they did not really need Rich Hill at the level he was pitching. In return, Tampa gets a right-handed pitcher, Tommy Hunter, Yes, still in the league, yes, and also on the IL. And minor league utility player Matt Dyer, a deep prospect, let's call it, a throwaway. Not to be outdone, Preller and the Padres, in a truly unexpected turn, acquired second baseman Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates for 3 prospects. 2 of them are outside the Padres' top 30, outfielder Jake Sawinski and right-handed pitcher Michel Miliano. But if Pirates fans choose to get excited, if they want to get excited about this sorry-ass franchise, they should learn the name of Tucupita Marcano. Okay, this guy's 21 years old from Venezuela. He's a left-handed hitting utility player. He was ranked 5th among Padres prospects by MLB Pipeline. Marcano has excellent contact skills and good speed. And even though 2020 was a write-off, there was no minor league baseball, he skipped AA, hit well in AAA, and got a cup of coffee in the bigs. Not a very good cup of coffee, but he's 21, and he's very, very promising. Marcano could be on the Pirates' opening day roster, or on the roster at some point in 2022. Now, circling back to the big piece in this trade, and that is Adam Frazier. I've had a chance to watch him a bit as a Cubs fan, and I gotta say, he's a very underrated hitter. He makes good contact, and for several years in Pittsburgh, he was about a .270 hitter. And that's very respectable. And with a year plus remaining on his contract at the moment, and the Pirates in absolute shambles, Adam Frazier stepped into 2021 and really, really hit a stride. I'm talking career year. He's leading the major leagues in hits at the moment with 125. He's batting .324. His on-base is .388. I mean, just an excellent season so far from Frazier. Kind of love to see it when, underrated guys really, really have a breakout. But look at the San Diego roster. Second base is occupied by Jake Cronenworth, who's doing pretty well. Word is that the Padres could move Cron into the outfield where he played a little bit in the minors. That's pretty bold if you ask me. I don't know how Jake feels about completely switching positions. But the Padres infield is chock full. You got Manny Machado at third, Fernando Tatis at shortstop, and Erik Hosmer at first. And the outfield is not much better. Trent Grisham, Tommy Pham, and Will Myers are all hitting above league average. Granted, there's some injury concern with a couple of the names I mentioned, but I don't know. Frazier, it's going to be tough to get him into the lineup every day. But underlining all of this is the fact that Frazier was a very hot commodity. The White Sox really wanted him with Nick Madrigal out for the season. They have a hole at second base. The Yankees could use him. I would say a bunch of NL teams, contenders, could use Frazier if Preller doesn't mind trading a very good player within the league. And the Mariners were interested, so much so that now word is they're pushing for Whit Merrifield, who's apparently on the market after years of the Royals playing. I'm not going to. I mean, I really want Jerry Dipoto and the Mariners to just go all the way out there, bring him back. That guy has made some crazy out-of-nowhere moves in the past. But basically, I can see Preller flipping Frazier or somebody. And if not, the Padres, as the Rays do with Nelson Cruz, have excellent depth in their lineup. But what Tampa and San Diego could still stand to add, what every team wants, is arms. A starting pitcher, or hell, anybody who can make a difference in October. Rays might get Tyler Glasnow back by then, but the absence of not just Glasnow at the moment, but Snell and Charlie Morton relative to 2020 will become apparent once the postseason arrives. Tampa needs an inning eater. They need a veteran starting pitcher and someone good. So watch for Neander and the Rays on the ocean floor. For San Diego, they could hope that Chris Paddock and Blake Snell step up. They've been below average this year, and Dinelson Lamet is currently on the IL. He'll come back at some point. Yu Darvish is doing great. Joe Musgrove is doing great. Ryan Weathers has had a good season too. Do not sleep on the Daddy-O's. Okay, I'm very excited to see what both these teams and the other 28 do or do not in the next couple of days. Flying through this, well, I'm proud of myself. All right, CUBSCAST. Still a CUBSCAST, all right? So the first sale Chicago made this year was Jock Peterson, big slugging outfielder, go to the Atlanta Braves for prospect Bryce Ball. Great names in this 1-for-1. Well, Jock was on a 1-year deal. And did we really need another slugger? Well, the Braves need anybody who can play outfield and hit a baseball. It is a mess down in Georgia. Marcelo Zuna is in jail. Ronald Acuna is out for the season. There's no way they can replace an MVP caliber player in Acuna. But Ozuna's power bag can't be filled. And Peterson certainly has the power to do so, although his slugging percentage is actually down earlier this season with the Cubs. We'll see if he can rekindle a little something with a change of scenery, because regardless, the Braves have received little production from the skeleton crew of Guillermo Heredia, Abraham Almonte, and Ehire Adrianza. I have never heard of any of those guys except Heredia or Ender Inciarte, who was on the Braves for a while, then got DFA'd because he was that bad. Braves are in a precarious spot as a team in what is somewhat of a gong show NL East. They are 49-51, below 500, yet 5 games away from the Mets at the top of the division. The Philadelphia Phillies are between them. And I've been talking a lot about general managers, Dave Dombrowski. If someone's going to make some win-now moves, it's going to be Big Deal Dave. So we'll see what else the Braves do. They can definitely get some starting pitching. R.I.P. Mike Soroka. And as for the Cubs, they get a solid prospect in Bryce Ball, 23-year-old left-handed first baseman / DH. Ball has not hit for average at the high A level of the minors yet, but the power is definitely there. He was ranked 12th in the Braves system by MLB Pipeline, and given that Peterson was a filler on this Cubs roster, I like this move. And then just yesterday evening, as I was putting together this episode, the Cubs traded the sheriff, left-handed relief pitcher Andrew Chafin, to the Oakland Athletics for a pair of prospects. I will really miss Chafin. Love the swag, love the pitching. Career year in 2021, he owns an ERA of 2.06. His strikeout, walk, and ground ball rates are all good. The Athletics might have more than a rental, as there is a mutual option on Chafin's deal, although I don't want to call it a sinking ship in Oakland, but given some of the financial overtures they made to longtime players last winter, and given all the drama surrounding their new ballpark, I don't know. Chafin seems like a good fit with the Athletics. This is a very ace player to acquire. I'm sure the fans are going to love him. Maybe all the fans love Andrew Chafin. Cubs have capitalized since everybody needs pitchers at the trade deadline. Who are the Cubs getting? Outfielder Greg Deichmann, 26-year-old from Louisiana, ranked 9th among ace prospects. He's hitting 300 in AAA right now. Though the scouts profile Deichmann as more of a classic slugger than a contact hitter, Cubs love power, and it seems like this guy can play in the majors pretty soon. So, yeah, we might even see him this year. Also acquired is right-handed pitcher Daniel Palencia, 21-year-old from Venezuela. I could not find a photo of Palencia, seriously, so here's Chafin again. Given last year's lack of minor league baseball, Palencia is not doing so well at low A right now. But with a plus fastball and an above-average breaking ball, Palencia was ranked 12th in Oakland's farm system by Fangraphs. Cubs are a team criticized for lack of pitching, so I like this trade as well. Well, it looks like I have a little bit of time left, so let me just start naming names. Who's going to be buying? I think the Yankees are going to buy. I think the Blue Jays are going to buy. Those are two teams that are kind of on the bubble right now. They really need to go all in. Boston Red Sox are a little safer. I can see them making some small additions. Chicago White Sox are very safe with their division, but as far as October goes, they can stand to add some pieces too. Cleveland Indians are going to ride the fence. They're not going to do anything. Detroit Tigers will at least trade Jonathan Scope, maybe Matthew Boyd, for teams that don't get, the top second baseman, the top starting pitchers available. Kansas City Royals, if they move Danny Duffy, that would be a nice pickup. And if they want to move Whit Merrifield, that would be awesome. Sucks for the Royals, but I love Whit Merrifield as a player. And getting him to a playoff team would be pretty sweet. Minnesota Twins could be huge sellers. I don't think they're going to move Jose Berrios, as I said. Josh Donaldson and Byron Buxton look more like off-season trade candidates given the length of their contracts. But closer Taylor Rogers, who just got hurt yesterday, if he's still going to be moved, that would be a player to watch. Andrelton Simmons as well, although he's not hitting super well. Nelson Cruz was kind of their big ticket piece, and he's going to Tampa Bay. I mean, a huge pickup for the Rays. Houston Astros, they'll definitely be looking for the top closer available. Oakland Athletics, I don't think they're done yet either. Seattle Mariners, I'm really interested to see what they could do. They could be buyers and sellers, depending or not if they want to move Mitch Haniger and or Kyle Seager, and they really, really need some pitching. They've just been winning a lot of one-run ball games. They're a very lucky team, but it's kind of cool to see what the Mariners are doing, and it's always interesting to see Jerry Dipoto. This is like the third time I mentioned him. This guy had a heart attack at the winter meetings. He was making so many trades, so show him some respect. Angels are sad. If they can just get a pitcher, I don't care how much of a bum he is, just get some arms into Anaheim. Rangers could be big sellers. Joey Gallo and Kyle Gibson. It's a pretty thin starting pitching market at this year's trade deadline, so that automatically makes left-hander Kyle Gibson one of the top commodities available. Yeah, he's been kind of a mid-to-back rotation starter for most of his career, but a steady guy having a career year might be worth banking on. And Joey Gallo, even though the word is that he wants to stay in Texas, he loves the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex apparently. Big bat. Good fielder who can play multiple positions. Hey, give it a go. And in the National League, where most of the action is going to be in the divisional races as opposed to the wild card, which is going to be hotter in the AL. In the East, Mets, that whole team is just in the hospital. They need whatever they can get, and their pitching situation's a little precarious, although when that rotation's healthy, very, very good. They got Rich Hill, but I don't think they'll end there. Philadelphia Phillies absolutely need to upgrade their bullpen. Could see them adding some tertiary pieces as well around the lineup. Atlanta Braves I touched on. Washington Nationals, they've slipped now 45 and 54. They're going to be sellers. I've heard Max Scherzer. I've heard Trey Turner. Who else you got? Miami Marlins, at least Starling Marte is going to be moved. I'm not sure if they're going to want to part with anybody else, like Adam Duvall. If you remember, a smaller move, Corey Dickerson went to the Blue Jays earlier this season, but Starling Marte is sort of the big-ticket item there since him and the Marlins could not come to an extension. Milwaukee Brewers at the top of the NL Central. Listen, that team needs bats. They really, really need some bats. Willy Adames was a nice acquisition for them, but they need more than that. Their pitching is pretty strong, but listen, the Brewers have a 7-game lead atop the Reds right now in the division. They got to start thinking, we gotta do a little something here, you know. Like I'm a little envious of the Brewers at the moment, but listen, you gotta get a little aggressive. St. Louis Cardinals are in a precarious position. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do. They might just be sitting on the fence. They're 50 and 50. Right now, talk about 500. Cincinnati Reds, who are 7 games out of the division right now, even though they're in second place. We heard talk of a blow-up last winter, and then it didn't happen. I would love to see Nicholas Castellanos get dealt again. Whether or not any of these other guys are on the table, like Mike Moustakas or Luis Castillo or Sonny Gray, we'll just have to talk. But Reds are a bit of a mystery, but they could be very active. And Pittsburgh Pirates are obviously going to be big-time sellers. Adam Frazier was sort of their big piece. But Rich Rodriguez, their closer, is a name to watch as well. And Tyler Anderson's, as I said, a thin starting pitching market. Watch for him to potentially get traded as well. Heard some noise about Brian Reynolds. I don't think that would be very wise. But at the same time, this is not a very wise franchise over there on the Allegheny River. And the Chicago Cubs, well, you know the names. Okay, Chris Bryant, he's back. Craig Kimbrell, he's very much back. He's looking like a Hall of Famer again. I love it. Ryan Tepera also in the bullpen should get moved. Zach Davies is on a 1-year deal. Just get him out of here for peanuts. I've had enough of Zach Davies. All due respect to Zach. Anthony Rizzo and Javier Baez. Very, very interesting if either of those guys get moved. San Francisco Giants. They'll be adding depth for sure because they've been doing great things with the lineup they have. And you want to talk about success stories from this sort of stove binding perspective that we take. Farhan Zaidi last winter went out and built this rotation with Kevin Gossman, who I granted was a re-signing, Anthony DeSclafani, and Alex Wood, and we laughed at him. And then Johnny Cueto came back, and we're still like, this guy's old. And the Giants have been amazing this year, so I can see them adding some more bats, maybe some relievers. A team to watch for sure. LA Dodgers, they're always going to be buying if they have any room, because they're so far over the luxury tax. And now Trevor Bauer is under investigation. You know, Trevor, if you're listening to this, because I know you're a petty human being, sometimes the bullied, as you've said you were growing up, become the bullies. This is a cautionary tale. Don't get ahead of yourself. Padres, they're not done yet. Colorado Rockies, John Gray, one of the best starting pitchers available, and Trevor Story, one of the best bats available. And Ryan McMahon, I could see him getting dealt as well. Finally, the Arizona Diamondbacks. What a disaster in the desert. Wow, 31-70. Oh, man. Eduardo Escobar, ship him out of there. Merrill Kelly, teams need starters. David Peralta, the D-backs have not wanted to move him because I think they know how secretly good of a player David Peralta is, but I would like to see him play for a good team. And I don't think they're going to go as far as absolutely tearing things down and trading Ketel Marte or Zach Gallen or any other young pieces, but they should be trying to sell what they can. And that is it for Stoveminders. As I said, 3 days out from the trade deadline. What the hell is going to happen?